In this video, you will learn every way you can wire mismatched panels together and exactly what each configuration does to your output. By the end, you will know exactly how to get the most out of what you've got. Let's get into it. With identical solar panels and the right system components, adding solar panels to your system should always increase your power output. But with mismatched solar panels, that's not how it works. To understand why that is, let me give you a brief recap of the different ways you can wire solar panels. I made a dedicated video about this, but here's what you need to know in a nutshell. First, you got the series configuration, where you daisy chain solar panels by connecting the positive of one panel to the negative of the next, and you repeat down the line. This adds up the voltages of the panels and keeps the current the same. For example, let's say we have two of these 200 watt solar panels in series. The voltage of the string is twice that of a single panel and the current is the same as that of one panel. Since power equals voltage times current, this gives us 400 watts, 2 times the wattage of a single panel. Then you get parallel configuration, where you connect all the positives together and all the negatives together. This adds up the currents of the panels but keeps the voltage the same. We still combine the power of the two panels and get 400 watts, but this time at a higher current and a lower voltage. So far, so good. In both cases, the panels are identical and the math works out perfectly. But here's where it gets interesting. Let's say we wanted to increase the wattage of the system by adding this 100 watt panel. This should give us a total of 500 watts, right? Well, not if we wire them in series, and here's why. With identical panels, when you wire them in series, the voltages add up and the current stays the same, right? But when you have different current ratings in the same series string, the current of the string becomes limited by the lowest panel current. In this case, the 100 watt panel is rated at 5 amps, so in a series configuration we would only get 300 watts. That's 60% efficiency and actually less power than we had with just two panels. What we could do in this hypothetical scenario is wire these panels in parallel. With this configuration, the voltage of the array stays the same, but our currents independently add up. This gives us 100% efficiency and we get the full 500 watts. So does that mean that parallel is always better for mismatched panels? Not really. Let me demonstrate that with another example where we have this 300 watt panel instead. In an ideal scenario, adding this panel to our existing system would give us 700 watts. But not if we wire these panels in parallel. With identical panels, when you wire them in parallel, the currents add up and the voltage stays the same. But when you have different voltages in parallel, the voltage of the array becomes limited by the lowest string voltage. In this case, the lowest voltage here is 20 volts. Therefore, we could only get 600 watts. That's still better than the 400 watts from just the two panels, but that's only 85% efficiency. Since in this scenario the current ratings of these panels match, the correct approach would be to wire them in series instead. The current of the string would stay the same and we get the sum of the panel voltages, giving us 100% efficiency and the full 700 watts. Now, the point from these hypotheticals is the following. If you have mismatched panels where their voltages match but their currents don't, wire them in parallel. If their currents match but their voltages don't, wire them in series. Here's the problem though. With real-life mismatched solar panels, neither the voltage nor the current will be exactly the same. Therefore, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there will always be some power loss. The goal is to minimize it, and that means running the numbers on both configurations and picking the better one. Let me show you how that actually looks like with real panels. For our first example, let's say we have two of these 200 watt Renogy solar panels. Looking at their specs, they are rated at 31.03 volts and 6.45 amps. By the way, when doing these calculations, these are the voltage and current to look at, VMP and IMP, not VOC and ISC. Now, let's say we wanted to add 200 watts to our system with this JJN solar panel, with a VMP of 23.4 and an IMP of 8.55. If we wire these solar panels in series, the voltages will add up, but the string current will be limited by the Renogy solar panels, since they produce the lower current. This gives us a total power of 551 watts. If we wire them in parallel, the currents add up, but the array voltage will be limited by the JJN panel. This gives us a total power of only 501 watts. We lose power in both configurations, but a series configuration is what gets us the most amount of power. Now for our next example, let's say you're using the same two Renogy solar panels and we still want to add 200 watts to our system. But this time, let's say we have some sort of space restriction that prevents us from using one large 200 watt panel. So instead, we chose to go with two of these 100 watt Renogy panels, each rated at 19.97 VMP and a 5.01 IMP. Wiring these panels in series would give us 511 watts and wiring them in parallel would only give us 457 watts. So obviously, between these two configurations, our best option is to wire everything in series. But here's the thing, there's a third configuration that we could use and get more power, and that's by combining these panels into a mix of series and parallel. See, we can actually wire the two 100 watt panels into a series string and then wire that string in parallel with the other two panels. With this series parallel configuration, the voltage is limited by the 200 watt panels to 31.03 volts, but the current adds up to 17.91 amps. This raises the wattage of the array to 555 watts. One last example I wanted to add is one that illustrates how adding more panels can actually make your system more efficient. For instance, let's say we were able to add one more 100 watt panel to that string of 100 watt panels. And this time we'll group the 200 watt panels in series and wire the two separate strings in parallel. Yes, it costs an extra panel, but the array efficiency jumps from 92.5% to 98%. So sometimes the fix to a mismatch problem is just more panels. Now there are endless examples and combinations out there and obviously we can't go through them all. But if you learn anything from this video, let it be this. If your solar panels' current ratings are closer to each other than their voltage ratings are, wire them in series. If their voltage ratings are closer to each other than their current ratings are, wire them in parallel. And if possible, try to get a closer voltage or current match by doing a mix of series and parallel connections, and by adding more panels to the mix. A quick but important side note before we move on. Everything I showed you is a simplification of what actually happens in real life. Because in practice, your MPPT charge controller doesn't just lock onto the lowest voltage or current in the array and stay there. It continuously scans what's called the IV curve to find the best operating point, which usually lands somewhere in the middle. So in practice, you will often squeeze out a bit more power than the math suggests. However, no amount of MPPT optimization can undo a severe mismatch. The worse your panels are matched, the more power you're leaving on the table. So what do you do when your panels are just too different to make any configuration work well? Well, if you can, you add another MPPT charge controller. It does cost more, but depending on how much power you're losing, it can absolutely be worth it. The good news is, this is simpler than it sounds. You don't need an extra battery bank, you don't need the controllers to communicate, you just group the identical or similar panels together, wire each group to its own MPPT, and connect both controllers to the same battery bank through a pair of bus bars. Each controller does its own thing and your battery doesn't care which one the power is coming from. There are just a few things to keep in mind when doing this. First, give each charge controller its own properly sized fuse or breaker on the wire running to the bus bar. This protects each circuit independently and makes it easy to isolate a fault if something goes wrong. Second, make sure both controllers are set to the correct charging profile for your battery. You want each one pulling the maximum out of its solar array, and that means the right voltage settings for your battery chemistry. Third, if you're using flooded lead acid batteries and your controllers aren't communicating, watch out for equalization. If both controllers are set to auto equalization, they will trigger independently and equalize your batteries more often than they need. The fix for this is simple. Pick one controller to handle the equalization and turn it off on the other. And last thing, before you add more panels and controllers, make sure your battery can actually accept the extra charge. You can check the spec of the battery to determine the maximum charge current. Typically, lithium batteries can handle a charge rate of up to 0.5 C, so a 100 amp hour battery bank can accept up to 50 amps of charge current. For lead acid, that number drops to around 0.2 C, so a 100 amp hour battery can accept up to 20 amps. By the way, if you want to learn how to size a charge controller for your system, I made a dedicated video on that, so check that out. That's it for this video. If you found it helpful, hit the like button and subscribe so you can get notified when I post more videos like this. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one.